Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
It's amazing what ladies do when your back's turned.
The marriage of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, once hailed as the wedding of the century, is a shocking tale that culminated in divorce and the tragic death of the beloved princess. But do you know the full story behind this fairy tale turned public nightmare? Their relationship, plagued by extramarital affairs and profound unhappiness, left many in shock. What really transpired behind the couple's closed doors? Who or what led to the downfall of their marriage? Join us as we delve into the tragic story of one of the most remarkable marriages the world has ever witnessed. Charles Mountbatten Windsor meets Diana Spencer. The story of Charles and Diana's first meeting is highly unusual, as the prince himself revealed to The Telegraph in a 1981 couple interview. Specifically, they met in a ploughed field in 1977, where he recalled meeting a cheerful, attractive, and vibrant Diana. However, their first meeting was quite unusual for 2 reasons. First of all, Diana was only 16 years old when she first met Charles, who was 29 years old at the time. This huge age difference should have been the first clue that something was wrong between them, but it was disregarded. Secondly, Prince Charles was already dating Diana's older sister Sarah when they first met. Given these hurdles, how did Charles get closer to his future wife? It's interesting that Diana caught his attention at first sight. Some even say it was a fateful meeting because Charles immediately struck up a conversation with Diana at the party, asking her to show him the gallery at her home, a moment Diana later recalled with fondness. In reality, he was only able to meet Diana because he was a guest at a shooting party hosted by his then-girlfriend Sarah. All hopes of a love story between Diana and Charles were dashed until Sarah came clean about her feelings for Charles. Contrary to what we would have expected, however, things did not progress linearly between Diana and Charles after that meeting. He and Sarah Spencer went on an alleged couple ski weekend to the Clusters. In a photograph taken by the paparazzi, the pair looked quite cozy skiing together in the cold snow. According to Sarah Bradford's 2016 royal biography about Princess Diana, Sarah had told a magazine that she wasn't in love with him and didn't want to marry him. This caused their relationship to end. In Great Brington, Northamptonshire, on May 17, 1980, Sarah, who chose to marry whom she loved, wedded Neil McCorquodale, a farmer and former Coldstream Guards officer. Lady Sarah and her husband chose to have a small wedding ceremony at the Spencer family's ancestral seat, the small St. Mary's Church at Althorpe, followed by a banquet at the family estate. Lady Sarah looked stunning in a high-necked lace gown, complete with the iconic Spencer family tiara and a traditional white flower bouquet on her wedding day. The intricate design of the Spencer tiara, created by Garrards, features stylized flowers adorned with diamonds set in silver settings. With Sarah's mind known, Diana and Charles were free to pursue a relationship of their own. The couple reconnected at Prince Charles's 30th birthday party, but they didn't see each other for 2 years. This time, they met at her friend Philip's house, while Prince Charles was also there. What started out as a chance meeting turned into a somber affair when the royals learned that Charles's uncle, Lord Mountbatten, had passed away. In her book Diana, she explained that she felt moved to comfort Charles after witnessing him distraught and vulnerable at his uncle's funeral. Diana was sitting beside Charles on a bale of hay, and following the customary small talk, they discussed Earl Mountbatten's passing and his funeral at Westminster Abbey. Diana informed him, in a conversation she subsequently related to friends, that she had never witnessed anything so heartbreaking as seeing him walk up the aisle at Lord Mountbatten's burial. She watched with her heart breaking for him. Charles responded favorably to her words, and soon after, he was all over her. She recalled that at first, because she had never received any serious attention from a man, she felt overwhelmed, but she soon got used to it, and the two started dating. It was a sweet affair in which Prince Charles showed Diana the ropes of fishing and even invited her to the royal family's Balmoral estate. At that point, the relationship seemed idyllic, with no hint of the impending disaster. The couple's engagement. Following a rendezvous arranged by fate and a budding romance that was becoming more well-known, the couple's engagement was announced. It came as little surprise when, on February 24, 1981, the pair announced their engagement to be married through the Lord Chancellor after just 6 months of dating. Diana's joy knew no limits, as seen by their joint appearance with the BBC at Buckingham Palace. Diana described her husband as pretty amazing, and Charles said he was delighted that Diana was willing to accept him. Charles revealed that he had proposed to Diana 3 weeks before the announcement at a private dinner at Buckingham Palace. He said he wanted to give Diana time to think about her response while she was scheduled to travel to Australia. But Diana accepted right away and moved out of her Kensington apartment to live in Clarence House until the big day when the world saw her eccentric style and iconic engagement ring for the first time. Diana, dressed in a cobalt blue skirt suit, exhibited her stunning engagement ring to the world. According to Gerard, the ring's manufacturer, the unique design of the ring was influenced by a brooch Prince Albert had commissioned for Queen Victoria in 1840. The brooch featured a large sapphire surrounded by 12 round diamonds and was set in 18-carat white gold. The public was surprised when Diana wore the Prince Albert-inspired ring, but it wasn't the only shocking moment during the somewhat awkward couple interview. Charles made his famous statement on the meaning of love when asked if they were in love. While Diana confirmed her feelings with an "of course," Charles responded with "whatever in love means" and an uneasy glance to the ground. This was the start of her marital problems, but things would soon get much worse for the pair. Prince Charles and his soon-to-be bride, Lady Diana Spencer, discussed the public's reaction to their marriage in an interview with Andrew Gardner and Angela Rippon CBE. Many mails had been arriving at their address. Diana was incredibly appreciative of the presents that kids had put in a lot of effort to send to her. The wedding of the century. Diana had second thoughts prior to the wedding and considered calling it off. At first it was just a thought, but after discovering a bracelet that Charles intended to give to his ex-girlfriend Camilla Parker Bowles just days before their wedding, Diana wanted to call it off even more fervently. According to Andrew Morton, the author of the well-known 1992 biography, Diana, Her True Story, in her own words. The only explanation for Diana's eventual walk down the aisle, as stated by Morton in her biography, is that she was only able to suppress her feelings of confusion and rage when her sisters pointed out that everything had already been planned and that it was too late for her to back out. She heeded their advice and went ahead with the wedding, oblivious to the difficulties and trauma that would follow. By the wedding eve, she had grown even more resolute in her choices. She had spent the evening having a bridal party at Clarence House with her sisters when Charles surprised her with a signet ring bearing his Prince of Wales feathers from Buckingham Palace. He also included a heartfelt note expressing his pride in her and promising to be there at the altar the following day. This was enough to allay her anxieties about their impending nuptials. The following day, on July 29, 1981, Prince Charles and Princess Diana tied the knot in a lavish ceremony that took place at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. It was the first time in 300 years that a British citizen married an heir to the throne, and 750 million people from 74 different countries watched the historic event. The fact that the entire affair cost almost $48 million is evidence of how unique the wedding was. The show's star, Princess Diana, looked amazing in an ivory silk taffeta gown embellished with more than 10,000 micropearls and elaborate hand embroidery. Just like her elder sisters, Lady Sarah and Lady Jane, Diana wore her family's Spencer tiara. It rested on her head nicely. She told Andrew Morton that day she felt like the luckiest girl in the world and that all she felt was an intense love for Prince Charles, and he felt the same. Even the world shared in their joy. The New York Times reported that the couple received approximately 3,000 presents between their engagement and wedding day, in addition to several high-profile gifts from important wedding guests, like the engraved Steuben glass bowl they were gifted by the Reagans, the Art Deco clock they received from Cartier, and the diamond and sapphire pendant ring and earrings the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Fahd gave Diana. Prince Charles acknowledged in a letter to his friend that there were times when he felt like crying from the sheer joy of the whole event. But despite appearances, their wedding was far from flawless, with several strange mistakes. First of all, Diana chose to omit the word obey from her vows to Charles. Secondly, their vow recital went poorly. Diana mispronounced Prince Charles's full name, which is Prince Charles Philip Arthur George. Charles, on the other hand, gave Diana his goods rather than the customary my worldly goods. These minor errors were topped off by the groom forgetting to kiss his bride after their vow exchange. The couple, however, made a public kiss on the palace balcony in front of the 600,000 spectators that had gathered along the streets leading up to Buckingham Palace. In her capacity as Princess of Wales, Diana represented the Queen at events all around the world and carried out royal duties with Prince Charles. Well known for her charitable endeavours, she served as president of both Barnardo's and Great Ormond Street Hospital in London. She also supported a number of organisations, including the British Red Cross, Headway, the British Deaf Association, and Help the Aged. The princess is also well known for her work demining areas and helping AIDS victims and children with leukemia. When she was visiting Angola in 1997, the Halo Trust charity cleared a minefield, and the result was one of the most iconic photos of her. Prince William is born. The newlyweds began their 3-month honeymoon with a 12-day cruise on the Royal Yacht Britannia. They travelled in it to Egypt in the Greek islands, and the remaining time was spent in a hunting lodge at the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. However, no one, not even the couple themselves, paid attention to these warning signs that were looming. Their first year of marriage had also been marked by love in every form. By the time they returned, Diana was attending events with her husband. She sat alongside Charles at the state opening of Parliament, marking their first significant state occasion since their wedding. Shortly after they announced their first major news, that Diana was pregnant, everyone in the world was ecstatic, and everyone was expecting a child, except Diana. Diana wrote this in an August 1981 letter to her personal secretary, Jane Parsons. Later, she admitted that, during her pregnancy, she had purposefully thrown herself down a flight of stairs out of feelings of inadequacy. Fortunately, neither she nor the unborn child were harmed, and on June 21, 1992, she and Prince Charles welcomed their son, Prince William, into the world. The tale of his birth was almost like a fairy tale, which is a testament to how wonderful their marriage was at the time. When Princess Diana decided to give birth to the first heir to the British throne in a maternity ward, everyone questioned her decision, but her husband Prince Charles supported her the entire time. In an even more unusual move, he sat by her bedside, watching over her as she gave birth. First, Princess Diana chose to give birth to her first child at the Lindo wing of St Mary's in London, which was very unusual at the time because royals gave birth in the palace. According to reports, he was the first royal father to attend his wife's birth. Diana and the nurses had to work out a time for Diana's birth that fit Prince Charles's schedule, so he could be there even when Diana's natural birth became intolerable and William had to be induced. Charles was by her side, monitoring her the entire time, and by the time Prince William was born, Charles was overjoyed. He expressed his happiness in a letter to his godmother, Lady Patricia Brabourne, saying that the arrival of his son meant more to him than he could have ever imagined. He also mentioned that he was grateful to have been at Diana's bedside during the birth. In addition, Charles stated that the process strengthened their bond even further. However, he didn't stop there. He continued to write letters to friends like Hugh and Emily Van Cutsum, expressing his happiness at becoming a father. These letters were published in 1994 as part of Jonathan Dimbleby's official biography of the Prince of Wales. His contagious enthusiasm passed to his wife, who was equally overjoyed to have William home. She said she was ecstatic that William had arrived and that she was glad Charles was there to assist her during his birth. Prince Harry is born. Their fairy tale birth, combined with Prince Charles's departure from the royal norm, was enough to make them an iconic couple. The world saw their happy marriage, unaware of the cracks that had been forming. But when Prince Harry was born, the couple's problems started to show. 2 years after Prince William was born in September 1984, Charles and Diana learned they were expecting their second child. This was particularly wonderful news because Diana had purportedly miscarried shortly after the announcement of her second pregnancy, which had left her so traumatized that she had told her friends she wasn't cut out for childbirth. Prince Charles didn't feel the same though, as Diana reportedly confided in her close friend James Coldhurst that he was disappointed by Harry's gender. Charles had really been hoping for a daughter, so it was very disappointing when he found that Diana was heavy with a boy again. However, getting pregnant with Prince Harry proved her statement incorrect. Diana understood how much Charles wanted their second child to be a girl, so she tried to hide the information from the ultrasound she had regarding Harry's gender at first, even though she couldn't keep it a secret for long. In September 1984, Diana gave birth to a boy named Henry Charles Albert David Mountbatten Windsor. The baby was born after 9 hours of labor and no induction. According to Diana's second biography, Charles was disappointed that Harry was a boy. In his first statement, he expressed disdain for Harry's red hair, a trait that runs in her family. Charles was also disappointed that Harry wasn't christened until December. He reportedly told Diana's mother that they thought Harry would be a girl, so the cracks were now apparent. The couple sat down with ITN in 1985 to dispel rumors about themselves and their relationship. Journalist Alistair Burnett asked Diana if she had found it difficult to adjust to being a public figure, to which she admitted she had. When asked if there was anything she would have loved to change about her husband, Prince Charles, she said no. Prince Charles, however, hinted at the question if he and Diana were fighting by responding that all couples fought. Diana later disclosed that she was deeply traumatized by Charles's remark during that interview and at Harry's birth, particularly because in the weeks preceding his birth, she and Charles became the closest they had ever been. Diana even claimed that Harry's birth was the catalyst for the breakdown of their marriage because shortly after, the worst happened, the affairs. Diana knew that Prince Charles had resumed his affair with her ex-girlfriend Camilla Parker Bowles. In her autobiography, Diana claimed that the worst day of her life was discovering that Charles had returned to Camilla. Desperate to keep her marriage intact, Diana confronted her husband's mistress at a birthday celebration in 1989. In her book, Diana recalled that her confrontation with Prince Charles was the bravest thing she had done in her 10 years of marriage to him. She had simply told Camilla that she knew about the affair between her and her husband, hoping to end it. But it wasn't enough to stop the affair from getting even hotter. The affair became an open secret after a leaked phone conversation between the pair in 1989 made headlines around the world. The transcript of their conversation was first published by an Australian newspaper, then a German one, and finally by British tabloids. The press even called the affair adultery because Camilla was already married to Andrew Parker Bowles, whom she had met after Prince Charles left on a 6-month tour with the Royal Navy. In an effort to save face, Prince Charles himself admitted to the affair on live television. When asked if he was faithful during his marriage, Charles originally said yes, before adding that he was until his marriage irretrievably broke down during his interview with Jonathan Dimbleby. In her famous 1995 appearance with BBC One's Panorama, Diana addressed his audacious admission by claiming that their marriage was too crowded now that 3 individuals were participating. After everything became public, Camilla and her husband Andrew announced their plans to divorce. In a joint statement, they stated that they had already lived apart for 2 years prior to their decision. This led to intense speculation that Charles and Diana were getting divorced. In her subsequent interviews, Diana spoke bitterly about her husband, saying that he made her feel so inadequate in every way. When Princess Diana supposedly started having an affair with British Army Captain James Hewitt in 1986, the accusations gained even more traction. The 4-year relationship was made public by Hewitt in his candid memoir and interviews, in which he claimed that Diana wouldn't have had a relationship with him if Charles hadn't cheated first. Charles and Diana separates. In the end, the rumors were confirmed, and on December 9, 1992, Princess Diana and Charles announced their separation in a public appearance before the House of Commons. John Major stated that the couple decided to co-parent amicably, but it was hard to believe them given their disparate geographic locations. The New York Times also provided additional details on the separation, stating that the palace confirmed that there was no third party involved and that the affairs of both Charles and Diana were merely rumors. The palace confirmed that their separation was an order from the Queen herself. At the time of the announcement, Charles was visiting an elderly people's home in London and Diana was visiting a clinic in northeast England. Everyone was shocked when The Sun released the transcripts of a recorded conversation between Princess Diana and her friend James that happened in early January 1990. James called Diana squidgy and squidge, and although this was not as suggestive as Charles's behavior, it did raise questions about their relationship and the possibility that extramarital affairs led to their breakup. However, there was further confusion when Diana and Charles were seen together again on May 30, 1993, which happened not long after their divorce. The couple travelled together on the Royal Yacht Britannia to the largest Anglican cathedral in the world for the ceremony, and although it appeared like they were in good spirits and reconciliation was imminent, that was their final public appearance together as a couple. The couple was spotted together at the commemoration service, marking the 50th anniversary of the Battle of the Atlantic. The next time the two were seen together was when Diana went on the yearly Christmas walk at Sandringham with the entire royal family on December 25, 1993. In the ensuing 2 years, the two began engaging in their own hobbies. Diana went around conducting charitable work, visiting hospitals, and tending to sick children. She also hired voice coach Peter Setterlin to assist her hone her public speaking voice. Prince Charles was performing his royal duties when Buckingham Palace announced on December 21, 1995, that Queen Elizabeth II had written to the couple urging them to divorce. The couple gave it some thought, and on February 29, 1996, Diana's spokesperson confirmed that she had agreed to divorce Charles, adding that Diana would keep her title as Princess of Wales. The couple had already met that day at St. James's Palace to discuss the specifics of their divorce, and after 4 months of discussion, the divorce between the Prince and Princess of Wales was officially granted on July 15, 1996. On August 28, 1996, the decree absolute, which signaled the official dissolution of their marriage, was released. This was the final legal step in the divorce process, making their split irreversible to this day. It was a sad ending for the couple, and the legal end of the marriage of the century. Diana disclosed that she was getting ready for an engagement at the English National Ballet when her brother-in-law Sir Robert Fellows sent her well wishes, saying it was difficult for her to carry on with her day. Diana and Charles's divorce settlement details were subsequently made public. Diana was given the option to keep her title as Princess of Wales, but she was also obliged to renounce her Royal Highness title. Even though the Queen reportedly wanted to allow her to maintain her Royal Highness after her divorce, Charles was said to have been adamantly opposed to the idea. Diana was granted the freedom to use the state apartments at St. James's Palace for entertainment purposes. Diana was also granted access to the royal family's jets and her Kensington Palace apartments. According to the New York Times, in addition, Buckingham Palace declared that Diana would receive a lump sum payment of an estimated $22.5 million in cash. She was also given a $600,000 allowance to run her private office, which was in charge of her charitable work and royal duties. However, this allowance was to end in September 1996, and she was then required to pay her own bills. She was still able to keep the jewellery she had received during her marriage, as well as use the government's and the British royal family's air transportation. She was also given ongoing security from the Metropolitan Police's Royalty Protection Group, which helped to keep her safe when she travelled with her sons. Even though her divorce was difficult, she subsequently showed incredible fortitude and hope when she declared that it marked the start of a new chapter in her life, and she meant it. Princess Diana connected with Dr. Hasnat Khan, a heart and lung surgeon, in September 1995, shortly after her divorce. The two maintained a very private relationship for 2 years, until reporters discovered their relationship. Despite this, their relationship was described as fairly normal, and Diana even gave him the nickname Mr. Wonderful as a sign of her affection for him. But after 2 years, their relationship abruptly ended, and there were conflicting theories as to why. Khan later acknowledged that the reason they broke up was due to his unwillingness to be more public with Diana. It was true that the only time he publicly talked well of Diana was when he described her in the same year in a trial as an ordinary person with outstanding attributes. Although Oliver Hoare's obituary stated that she had been in a relationship with the married art dealer, and the News of the World reported that Diana had an affair with Hoare, Diana denied having a romantic involvement with Hoare and instead referred to him as a friend. The press also connected her to Will Carling, a rugby union player, and Theodore J. Fortman, a private equity businessman. However, these allegations remained unsubstantiated. Following Khan, Diana was in a relationship with Dodi Fayed, a film producer, and the son of millionaire businessman Mohammed Al Fayed. Unlike Khan, their connection was well known, and cameras followed them about. Their most famous photos together date back to the summer of 1977, when Fayed invited her to join his family in the south of France, where his large security detail and compound would not worry the Royal Protection Group. It was during this time that Fayed's father, Mohammed Al Fayed, purchased Jonical, now Isabel Princess of the Sea, a multi-million-pound yacht to entertain Diana and her sons. They spent the entire summer of 1997 sailing around the south of France on the Fayed yacht, before making their way to Paris. On August 31st, 1997, tragedy struck the couple during her summer with Fayed. They were involved in a horrific car crash in the Paris Pont de l'Alma tunnel that took the lives of Princess Diana, Dodi Fayed, and their driver, Henry Paul. The cause of the crash was determined to be Henry's intoxication, as he was speeding at 121 Memi in Sampe while being chased by a trail of paparazzi. This abruptly ended the story of the prince and princess, and any chance of a reconciliation was long gone. This was especially a possibility because Charles surprised Diana by paying her an unexpected visit at Kensington Palace on the occasion of her 35th birthday. Their meeting was marked by a light-hearted exchange of banter during which Diana playfully accused Charles of coming to take her furniture away. Their banter was marked by laughter and cups of Earl Grey tea. This was such a contrast to the hostile relationship that the couple had in the later years of their marriage. But when Diana tragically died, hopes for a more amicable or friendly relationship between the two were dashed. The world mourned Diana's passing, and her funeral became an international event. An inquest held in London in 2004 and again in 2007 and 2008 found that Paul's extremely careless driving and the pursuing paparazzi's pressure to go fast into the tunnel were the primary causes of the collision. The jury found in favour of unlawful killing on April 7, 2008. Al-Fayed declared that he would halt his 10-year battle to prove that the tragedy was murder the day after the inquest's final ruling, citing his concern for Diana's children as justification. Instead of dressing in the traditional black mourning attire, Prince Charles chose to wear a navy suit to the princess's funeral. While some criticised this decision as unconventional for a funeral, it carried a deeper meaning. Prince Charles's choice to wear the navy uniform was a subtle tribute to his former wife, Princess Diana, who always preferred him in navy attire. This gesture symbolised their love and reflected his acknowledgement of her preferences. By doing so, he honoured their shared past, which began with the wedding of the century and ended tragically with divorce and Diana's demise. The story of Prince Charles's covert betrayal is among the greatest scandals in history. Thanks for watching. Before you go, subscribe and watch more of our videos.